All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Tim Bagonis. I'm the CMO here at DTools, and joining me today is Travis Leo, President and I guess CEO of Tracknicity. And we're going to be talking today about Tracknicity for DTools SI, why it's important, what it can do for you, and what's new in the latest version. So for those of you who may not have attended a webinar with us before, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Pretty basic. We'll be presenting. You have a way to view what we're presenting. If you need more real estate, you can go ahead and click the arrow in your control panel. And we do have a questions box that you can use to pose questions throughout the presentation. We'll do our best to answer these questions as the presentation's going, but we will also have a dedicated time for Q&A following the presentation. So if you do pose a question during the presentation and it's not answered immediately, just know that we're gonna address it at the end. All right, a bit about what we'll cover today. Again, this is all about Tracknicity, how it can help SI users manage inventory and keep track of items. So Travis will be doing an overview of that and a demonstration of how DTools SI and Tracknicity work together. And then, like I mentioned, we will be doing Q&A at the end. And yes, this webinar will be recorded and we will send to everybody following the presentation. So just a little bit about DTools. If you're here, you're most likely a customer, so thank you very much. We are celebrating our 25th year in business this year. We were founded in 1998. We have grown steadily to over 7,000 customers in over 90 countries. We are very proud of being able to serve the industry for 25 years and solve problems for integrators just like you. And we continue to invest in our technology team and processes to help you become more successful. The product we're going to be showing today, along with Tracknicity, is DTools SI, which is an end-to-end solution that really ties together system proposals, estimation, coupled with integrated drawings in either Visio or AutoCAD to do very detailed documentation, engineering drawings. This is a data-driven solution that everything in DTools is driven from product information from our integrated product library. We have thousands of brands that we work with who provide us with information that drives everything in the software, from manufacturer model number, description, pricing, and integrated dealer-specific pricing to make sure that the information you're using for your projects is up to date and current. And then we also go deep and deliver specifications that can be used for the drawings, as well as cut sheets and other information throughout the project. That information is used throughout the application so that when you're doing a project in our system, you build a bill of materials, and from there, all project documentation such as proposals, contracts, client-facing work, as well as drawings, and then because we're organizing information within the project by either location, system, or phase, we can use that same information to schedule out the install of the project, to do purchase orders, and then, of course, manage inventory with the integration of Tracknicity. So we try and provide an end-to-end solution for you to manage your business. And with that, I'm going to introduce Travis Leo, who's going to talk a bit about Tracknicity, how it works, how it integrates with SI, and then we're going to do a demonstration. Travis?
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here today. By way of introduction, my name is Travis Leo, and as Tim mentioned, I'm the founder and president of Tracknicity. Prior to that, I ran an integration company in the Denver, Colorado area, and we were a large DTools user. and we really struggled with how to best manage our inventory. And rewind about 3 years, we said, let's go ahead and see if we can build our own application to integrate into D-Tools to manage inventory. And that's effectively how we came up with Tracknicity. It was an in-house tool that when we started showing it to people, they said, hey, we're heavy D-Tools users. This makes a lot of sense. We'd really like to purchase this from you. And so we launched Tracknicity about 4 years ago. Originally, we had an integration with QuickBooks, but with some changes that D-Tools made to their API in version, I can't remember if it was version 17 or 16, we were able to launch a version of Tracknicity that seamlessly integrates with D-Tools SI. And so for businesses that are run on SI, Tracknicity provides a full inventory management functionality from both a mobile device, an iPhone, iPad, Android device, as well as a web dashboard. And I'll be spending the time today kind of going through the web dashboard, showing you how that function works and integrates with D-Tools. The integration with D-Tools in the newest release of D-Tools version 20 was greatly enhanced. It allows us to take information in Tracknicity and write it back into the D-Tools project. So for example, when you go to stage an item in Tracknicity for a project, we can now update that project in SI to show that that item has been picked and allocated from stock. We can show you who picked it, the date that it was picked. We can do the same thing when you deliver products. So when you use Tracknicity to deliver the product to the job site, we can write that information into the project automatically. And we can do the same thing for returns as well. So lots more information from Tracknicity going into the D-Tools project. We also added the ability to generate a change order when an item is checked out. So if you have an item that you forgot on the project and your technician or project manager takes it from inventory, instead of having to say, hey, engineering team or design team, add this to the project, we have an automatic way to push that as a change order into the project. And the next time the user checks that project out, they will see that item added in there. So we've added a lot more enhanced functionality between Tracknicity and SI, which I will show you here in just a few minutes. In our latest version, we also added something that people have been asking for a long time, which is labels and QR codes. So previously, we didn't have a label generation engine within Tracknicity. We added that with a QR code so that when you're ready to check out the item, you can just use a QR code to scan it. We also added in the location on that label, and I'll show you that here in a minute. That was a new piece that came in version 20. Version 19 users can't take advantage of that, but if you are using D-Tools SI version 20, you can see that in there as well. Any good inventory management solution has to have robust reporting capabilities. So being able to look at reporting for items delivered, returned, inventory valuation, audits, and cycle count. So we've got full reporting capabilities, and we're adding and changing reports on a relatively regular basis as new requirements from customers come up. Tracknicity for D-Tools is $199 per month, and that's an enterprise license for unlimited users. So there's no per user fee or per seat fee or anything like that. And we do offer 1 month free with an annual subscription. So on an annual basis, it's a $2,200 a year solution. And again, that's for the web dashboard and unlimited mobile users, iOS and Android devices. I hit most of this in kind of the introduction, but we are on version 3.0 of Tracknicity now. So version 1.0, if you've looked at it in the past, was kind of our initial launch. Version 2.0 was our first version that integrated directly with D-Tools. And version 3.0 is the one that we launched about 6-8 weeks ago now. We added support for handheld barcode scanners. So this was a commonly requested feature that people had. They've got a laptop or a desktop computer in the warehouse, and they have a barcode scanner attached to that. So instead of using the phone, they wanted to be able to use a barcode scanner to scan items or check items out. So we added that capability. I mentioned the labels, the locations, and the QR codes, which I'll show you in just a minute. I mentioned the deeper integration with D-Tools. One piece we did add in version 2.0, but I put it in here, and I'll show you. is the ability to check inventory inside of DTools. So when you're building a project, when you're doing a purchase order, when you're looking at your item catalog, you can quickly go in and check the inventory of an item inside of DTools without having to leave DTools and go to a separate application to check your inventory. We update projects when items are staged, delivered, and returned, like I mentioned. And we greatly improved our returns processing. Previously, to return an item that was staged or allocated for a job, you had to deliver it to the job site and then return it and check it out to the new job. We greatly enhanced the ability to return items to stock and allocate those to different projects. And I'll show you that here in a minute. And like I mentioned, we added some more report capabilities in based upon customer feedback of, hey, we need this report to be able to do this. So I'm going to start by showing you some stuff in Tracknicity here. So what I've got here is the Tracknicity dashboard pulled up. And if I want to go in and look at my inventory items that are in Tracknicity, I just go in here to inventory items, and I can see my item count here. All of these items came over from DTools. So one of the common questions we get is, in order for an item to show in Tracknicity, it has to live in your DTools product catalog. So we go ahead and pull the cost of the item, the price of the item. You can learn a barcode or a UPC code here. I haven't learned one for this particular item that I'm on right here. But if I were to wanted to do that, I would just simply go into this edit button right here, and you can see that it says no UPC assigned. I would click on this right here, and if I had a barcode, I would just use my barcode scanner to scan and learn that UPC code. We use UPC code. You can use any barcode generator. It doesn't really matter, but you can learn the barcode for those particular items here. I'm in this particular item here, and if I want to assign sublocations to that, I can do that here. So for example, right now in the warehouse, I have this item assigned to shelf 3, excuse me. If I wanted to assign it to shelf 1, I would just click there and exit out of there. And now I've changed the sublocation for that item. I have my quantity by location here. So I've got my stock. These are the items that I have available for sale here. If I wanted to edit that, I can go and do that there. I can also set up minimum and maximum stock quantities of that item as well. In any item, if I click view locations, I can see all of the items that I have in stock by location, and I can also see if I have any of those items staged for a project. So in this case, I have 4 of these items staged for these 4 projects. I also have a B stock item here as well. So let me go back into SI here for a second, and I'm going to open up a project that I created for this. It's called DTools Demo Project here. So I'm going to check this project out. So in this project here, I've gone ahead and done a couple things. So the first thing I did was I created a custom layout in DTools to show a bunch of information that I care about related to item status. So in this case, I've just put a couple of random items in the project here, some Arlington LV1, some Crestron parts, some DTI patch cables, a Cisco switch, and then I've done a purchase order for a couple of items in here, this Crestron CP3 and this this Epson projector. So the first thing I want to show is how I would check the inventory in the project here. So let's just talk about this Cisco switch right here. So I go highlight that item, I go over here to tools, I go to check inventory, and I go to Tracknicity, and it's going to bring me back a dialog box that shows me what I have in stock. So I can see the items that I have in stock right here by location, and the sublocation also pops up on here. So warehouse shelf 2 pops up there. It can show me if I have any available or staged for a project right here. So those are showing me that I have these staged and available for this project right here. They're ready to go if I need that for that project. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and take one of these from my stock and allocate it to this project. And what you'll see is what's going to happen is exactly what happened with this Arlington LV1 right here. When I go into Tracknicity and stage that item, it's going to update the order status to show that I took it from stock. It's going to highlight the item as picked because we picked it in Tracknicity, and it's going to pass back the picked by and the picked date here. So if I go back into Tracknicity to do that, I'm going to go back to the dashboard, and I'm going to take the item from the warehouse. I'm going to select the client, and it's going to bring up a list of all my different projects and clients that I have here. If I just selected the customer, it'll prompt me and say, hey, which job are we talking about here? And then I could either scan the item, or in this case, I'm just going to search for a Cisco switch right here. And what I want to do is I want to add that to the staging area. So I'm not ready to deliver the item to the job. I just want to go ahead and add that to the staging area. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit for that item. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over into Tracknicity and into the project report, and I'm going to look at this item there, this project in Tracknicity. So what you see here is, if you remember, we had ordered that Epson projector and that Crestron CP3. They both show up as ordered right here. I haven't done the item receipt for it yet. It doesn't really matter for this purpose, but I've got those items that were ordered inside of Tracknicity, excuse me, inside of DTools. So we picked up the purchase orders from DTools, brought them over here. And what I can do is, with this button right here, is I can generate a label for that item. And it's got set up on a little small printer here. I apologize, that's hard to see. It's the size of paper that we use for labels. You can use any size. This is just the size that we're using for demo purposes here. But you can see it's got the job name, the customer name, the customer project name, the project number, the item. It's got the location right here. So if you remember, that item was in the theater. It shows the purchase order that that item came on, and it shows the date that it was ordered. And now I've got a QR code that I can use, and when I'm ready to check that item out. So if I look at the same item for the Crestron CP3, I'm going to see this location is the primary bedroom. It was on purchase order 82, same information there. So these are from the items that I've ordered for the project. If I go over here, I see the items that I've taken from stock. So in this case, I've taken an Arlington LV1 that I showed you in the project. I've staged it, but I haven't delivered it yet. I can go and generate a label for this item. So I stage it, I want to generate the label. Same thing, I'm going to get the QR code for that. Here's that Cisco switch that we just staged for the project. So let's go back into SI here, and let me go back into the project. And this would happen automatically if I checked this project out. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and update it from integrations manually. I'm going to click yes. It's going to show me the integration and the project ID. I click update, and now I'll go ahead and save that. And you can see that that Cisco switch that we just took has now shown up as coming from stock. Scroll over here a little bit. I can see that the item was picked. I can see that it was picked by Travis Leo, and I can see the picked date. So I've got that information that flows from Tracknicity straight into DTools for when that item is staged. Let's go ahead and look at a report that we have in here, which is the staging area report. And this shows all the items that I have staged in my staging area. If I just filter for D-Tools, the name of that project, I'm going to see these two items that I have in the staging area for that project. And that makes sense because I haven't received the other two items yet. I've allocated these from stock. Maybe I'm looking for a Cisco switch. Actually, an Epson projector. I can just start typing in Epson in the filter area, and it's going to bring that specific information back. So I'm just going to go back here. And what I can do right here is if I'm ready to deliver this item to the job, I could just click deliver right here. But more commonly, when I'm ready to do that, I'm going to do a new transaction where I'm going to take the items from the staging area. And you'll see here, it gives me the ability to scan an item. So if I had printed that label that had the QR code, I could just click scan, and scan the item, the QR code, and it's going to know obviously which job it's associated to. In this case, we'll just select the project. Here are those 4 items that are on that project that we've either ordered or staged. So you can see these two the Crestron item and the Epson item show as red because they've been ordered, but they haven't been received yet. So I'm going to go ahead and take this Cisco switch, highlight it, and click submit. So now what I've done is I've just delivered that item to the project. I can see that by going into my reports here, and under quick reports, we have a bunch of different reports here, but I'll just show you the delivered items report, which is going to show that item now shows as delivered to the job site on Tuesday, June 27th, shows the person who delivered it and the quantity. I can adjust my date field here to go back and get way more information. And anytime you see this blue button here, this is a download or export to CSV. So I can update the project, or excuse me, download the report and get more detailed information, cost information, et cetera, in here. So I'll go back into the DTools project here. And again, I'll update this from integrations. It's going to say you've got one update. I click update, I'll save it. And now this item is shows as delivered by Travis Leo on that delivered date. So I can easily see that I've now delivered this item to the project. It shows up in the project as delivered. I've got that information in there. I should mention, for those of you who are intimately familiar with DTools SI, we are using custom fields for these delivered by, delivered date, and returned by. These aren't default fields in DTools. These are custom fields that we use in the catalog to do that. So we go through that in the setup and the onboarding process. So you can see the integration that happens between DTools and Tracknicity and how powerful it becomes. If I go back into Tracknicity here for a second, I'll show you some of the other reports that are available. We looked at the project report where you can see the information. When I start doing returns, the items will show up on here. One other thing we added is the ability to see all of the items in the DTools project inside of Tracknicity without having to flip back and forth. So you can look at the status of every item that's in your approved project in DTools and see the status of whether it's been ordered, received, picked, delivered, returned, etc. So I can see that I've ordered this piece. I can see that I've picked this piece, but I've got all these other ones that I have to do something with right there so they don't show up. But this was a common request we had was, hey, I can see what's been ordered from stock, but I want to be able to see every item inside the project here. Inventory by location basically shows my inventory items for each of my locations. And then this little caret here will bring up sub-locations. So if I want to look at, just that sub-location and see what inventory is there, I can do that. All of our search is very intelligent search. It's really more filtering than search, but we call it search. So you can easily, if you're looking for something, just start typing it in and you're going to get that information brought back there. I showed you the staging area report as I went through that, but this is again going to show every item that is staged for the project, whether it came from stock, whether it's been received. Like in this case, I have 200 feet of orange Cat 6 cable, but I've already delivered 100, so I only have 100 left to deliver. So I can see partial quantities and the like here. We have lots of other inventory reports, delivered items, returned items, inventory value by location. So I can see how much inventory I have in each location. I can see my most valuable items. So where's my cash being consumed from an inventory standpoint. I can see all of my B stock items or open box items in one place right here. So I can see all that. And I can also look and see all of my open purchase orders that I have. This was a request that somebody made, just said, hey, I want to just know all open purchase orders that I have that haven't been fully received. So I can easily generate that report out of Tracknicity right here. I can set up minimum and maximum stock alerts for items. So if I always, in this case, this Honeywell part right here in van 1, I said I always want to have a minimum of 3. I only have 2 in stock right now, so it's showing up on my min-max report. So I know I need to go place a stock order for this item because it's below my minimum. I can use DTool's purchase order functionality to place that that purchase order. What I would do there is I would go in this case, go in not in the project, but in the catalog. Let me just close this here real quick. And if I go into the catalog, and if I were to do a purchase order, I don't even remember what part that was. It was a Honeywell part of some sort. It doesn't really matter. There it was. I can, if I need to do a purchase order, the first thing I can do is in the catalog, I can check the inventory in Tracknicity. So I use that. I can see that, yep, I have 5 in stock. I also have 2 staged for a project here. So if I did a purchase order and I added this item from the catalog, not from a project, when that item receipt is done in DTools, I'm automatically going to put that into inventory in my default location in Tracknicity. So, and generally that's going to be the warehouse. So when the receiving person does the receipt of that item, it's just going to increment that inventory quantity by whatever the purchased quantity was. Within Tracknicity, we support full audits and cycle counts. So, here's an audit that I just got started to, check my quantity against, I've got new quantity of 16. My original was 15. So I've done an adjustment here. So full audit cycle count capability. And then inventory valuation reporting here. So I can see what my inventory value is on each of the dates that I've ran this report. I can also see what my staged items are, what items I've taken out of supply and allocated into my staging area for particular projects. So I've got all sorts of data and information there. Going back to one of the other features that I mentioned, let's say we've got an item that we forgot on a project. Before I go there, I should just point out my recent history. So here you can see the transactions that we just did. So that the second one here is where we took that Cisco switch and we took it from the warehouse to that project. That red shows that we removed it from inventory and we added it to the staging area. This record right here shows that we took it from staging and delivered it to the project. So I've just got full history here and being able to look back by user, et cetera. Maybe I've got an item that wasn't included on the project and I need to start a change order for it. So if I go to new project, if I go into here and I go to take an item from the warehouse and I want to take it to a client and we want to take it to that DTools demo project, we'll just pick an item here that we haven't used. We'll pick a Crestron, that right there. If I click this DTools Project Additions Returns button, and you can see with this little hover right there, it says, mark these items as product additions to the DTools proposal for this project. Once approved, a change order will be initiated. So I'll click OK, and I'll click Submit. So now I'm going to have a new transaction here. If I go back to the dashboard, that shows that project addition right here. Once I approve that, in my approvals queue right here, that will write over to SI so that the next time I check that project out, if it's approved, and I honestly can't remember if I set that project up to approve it or not. Let's go ahead and look because I don't think that I did. Yep, it is gonna, so here's my update. There's that item that I just added from Tracknicity, the Crestron DMC COM. I'm gonna import my new item, and there's that item now shows up in it. We know that it came from stock, so we already had updated that. We also updated the information to show that it was picked and delivered, so we have full transparency in the project of who took that item. And like I said, if this project had been approved, it would have prompted me to say, hey, would you like to add this to a pending change order, or would you like to start a new change order in place? Oops, sorry, wrong window there. If I go back to the dashboard here, again, I can see that history. I've got my min-max report here as well. I can manually adjust quantities of items, or I can receive items into my location by going in here. We do have that set up so only admin users can do that. So if you have, new inventory items that you need to add in, or somebody went and bought some connectors at Home Depot and didn't do a purchase order and you just need to add them into inventory, you can manually do that here as well. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of Tracknicity and the integration with DTools. I will show you one other place where you can check the inventory. So if you're inside of, let me close this here. If I go into, to do a purchase order, and I want to start a new purchase order here, when I go to the items, I have my check inventory button right here. So if I'm going to look at this, let's do this Crestron DM 8x8, check inventory, Tracknicity, and I can see that I don't have any of these in stock. So it shows me that my warehouse, which is my default location, has 0. So I know that I'm going to need to order one of these instead of allocating it from stock. So I hope that gives you a brief overview of Tracknicity and the integration piece with DTools. Oh, I didn't mention the returns piece. Sorry, that was the last piece I wanted to mention. So here's an item, these items right here. If I need to allocate them to a different project, I would use this double arrow button right here. So I click that right here, and it's going to show me that the item hasn't been delivered. I can see what it's ordered. I can see the current job that it's allocated to. If I need to allocate it to a different job, I would just start typing in the job name, and I can save that, and that will now remove that from this project and add it into that other project. If the item has been received or is staged for a project, I'm also given the option, oops, wrong button. I'm also given the option here to return that item to stock. So if I want to return that item to stock because I'm not going to use it anymore, I just simply click return to stock. It asks me, where do I want to return that to? I select warehouse, quantity, and boom, that item is now returned into the warehouse. And it now shows up in my returned items as well, that I returned an item from that project there. So we really simplified and enhanced the ability to do returns. And just like you saw that update in those projects, the returned information, if I check that project out, would also update in that last custom field as well there. So why is Tracknicity better than the other solutions that are out there? It works with DTools out of the box. I mean, we made this software to work with DTools. We have a QuickBooks version, but this version is designed to work with DTools and leverage the DTools API that you're already using to run your business. It's cost effective and easy to deploy. There's no special hardware. You don't need special printers, special QR code scanners. I mean, a thermal label printer and a 2D barcode scanner cost you about $150 to purchase. So it's very easy to deploy, and the software itself is very inexpensive. It's cloud-based and always available. You can also do transactions offline, and the next time you come online, those transactions will sync up. So if you don't have good cell signal and you're doing something, those queue up and will save the next time that you do have cell signal. Very easy to use web-based interface and mobile application. And it's very easily manageable by end users and administrators with roles and restrictions to protect information. If you don't want your users to be able to see the price of something, you can stop them from doing that, or the cost. We have admin capabilities for people to do manual adjustments and cycle counts, et cetera. So people always ask the question, how do I get started? It's pretty simple. You just go to tracknicity.com, select the DTools option. and start a subscription there. Once we see that, we'll contact you to do a free onboarding session. We give you a free hour of onboarding support where we link your dTools and Tracknicity accounts. We get your custom fields set up. We get your projects and your catalog exported over. And like I said, within an hour, you're up and running and functioning with dTools and Tracknicity. You do need to be on version 19 or greater. Version 20 is recommended because of the label capability, the location capability that I mentioned for the labels. So if that's an attractive feature, you'll want to make sure you're on version 20. And once you're up and running, it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. People always ask me, is there, a key to success? What do I need to be doing for Tracknicity to really make sense for my business? The biggest thing is you have to want to take control of your inventory. I'd say that's number one. Number two is you have to do your purchase orders in dTools too. I talk to a lot of people that are like, well, we love Tracknicity. We think it's great, but we don't do our purchase orders in dTools. And if you don't do your purchase orders in dTools, Tracknicity is probably not a great solution. You should be doing your purchase orders where your projects are done. And if you start doing that, Tracknicity will be a lifesaver for you. It really was for our business. We found thousands and thousands of dollars that we were leaking out of those additional items that got added to a project and never got charged for because somebody just grabbed them from the warehouse and didn't write it back to the project. So, if that's something that you've seen happen, Tracknicity is designed to solve that solution. Really, that's the gist of it.
I want to thank you all for spending the time with us today. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to send an email to info@d-tools.com or reach out to Travis at tracknicity.com. All right, you guys, have a great day. Take care.